Welcome to the show. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And today we are discussing The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring Nicolas Cage. Who else? We'll laugh, we'll argue, we might get a little too into it, but at the end of the day, they're just movies inside of movies.
Spoiler alert. So meta.
Nicolas Cage.
Whoa. So that was spoiler alert.
We're the show that Melvin365678 called a great podcast, but Riley hates all the movies, which I love. Now, there was no comma, so I can't figure out if it's he hates all the movies, which I love, or if he hates all the movies that I love.
That you love.
I think it's actually
probably
the latter.
both.
Yeah, knowing you.
Screw you, man.
Next week, we're doing Men. All the Men. It's a horror movie from director Alex Garland, who brought you such films as Annihilation.
Yeah, Sunshine, Ex Machina. He also did Devs on HBO recently, which was also great.
A bunch of great films. People have
love
asked us to cover what we never have. But we're starting with this one. Today, though, it's this Nicolas Cage movie that's about Nicolas Cage. So, David, what are you giving it out of 10?
Unbearable Weight trades adaptation's wit for warmth and feels like the kind of movie two buddies would make in a weekend, for better or for worse. 7.3 out of 10.
Dang.
I liked it. But
Okay.
it did not live up to the promise, I think, of what this movie could have been.
Really?
I think it could have been crazier and cooler and like more mind-bendy.
Yes.
But it kind of just falls into like a pretty predictable movie.
I felt that way for a bit.
Okay. I'm excited.
But it's not my turn, Riley.
Okay. I feel an unbearable weight of guilt for suggesting that we do The Northman instead of this movie. Because it's so much better. It's funny, exciting, touching, and even a little thought-provoking. Even if it ended up being a lot more cheesy than I expected. I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
I had a good time.
I had a good time. Too.
And I didn't expect. I don't know. I just feel guilty. I'm sorry, David.
Yeah,
I couldn't help but also compare it to The Northman because we were really tossing those two up. And I gave that film a 7.75. I had more fun watching this one.
For sure.
But I'm still going to give it a 7.75. Because I think The Northman had some elements that this doesn't. It's hard.
Yeah.
Those two movies, to compare those two movies is really in microcosm the exercise of like trying to apply a rating scale to such different art.
Yeah.
It's it's a crazy process. But here's my slogan. It's The Rock meets adaptation. And that's enough for me. 7.75. I clapped in the theater at one point. I mean, there was 4 of us in there.
Oh, okay.
It was a
fun.
Monday night. There was 4 parties. 3 out of the 4 parties were watching the movie alone, including me. And then there was one couple. I was like, who are these people who watch this movie on a Monday night?
Those are the people who couldn't convince the other people to go watch a movie about Nicolas Cage.
I feel like it's the kind of movie that some people really want to watch, but most people don't.
Yeah, this is what was so funny about like when I was telling Lauren about this. I was like, oh yeah, it's Nicolas Cage playing himself. She's like, no one's going to see that. And I'm like, this is funny because that's kind of how I feel. Like, I'm not like a big Nicolas Cage fan. To me, he's always been kind of like a cringy guy who did some cool stuff back in the day and then kind of fell off. And then I think that's how most people see him. But then there's this like hardcore Nick Cage fans.
Yeah.
And I stepped into their mind in this movie.
I feel like he's just the best representation of camp in the modern age, but it's like a different flavor of it where it's like kind of self-serious, but it's still self-aware. Like it's camp for the 2010s and 2020s.
Well, there's that Wisecrack awesome video about his style, how he's not going for realism, like basically the paradigm of Hollywood and all movies today is about realism, and he's just going for like a vaudeville approach. What is that approach called? Someone
I thought it was like kabuki or something. Like he was doing like Japanese
maybe
kabuki,
something like
the
crazy.
masks.
Something spooky.
Like something crazy like that.
Oh, interesting.
It's like an art style that developed before microphones. We had to kind of emote for the person farthest away in the bleachers, where they have to be able to see your face. And
well, that's something different then. That's not kabuki.
Not mask. That's definitely not mask.
Yeah.
I'm at bad.
whatever. Nicolas Cage does what he wants, and he's wacky.
He's back, baby.
He's a wild
Not
and
that he
crazy.
ever went anywhere. All right, here's the sponsors. Thanks to Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode. Between being short on time and finding an option that tastes great, getting all your vitamins and nutrients can be tough. In fact, most people don't. Athletic Greens is here to help. Each scoop of AG1 has 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics,
I love all of those.
Pastbiotics, amateur biotics, and adaptogens to help you start your healthy day. A few of those I made up. It's got less than 1 gram of sugar and no nasty chemicals or artificial additives while still tasting great. Each pack costs you less than $3 a day, and to make it even easier, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, which we should all be taking, and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/TJM. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/TJM to add AG1 to your health routine and secure your free gift. Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to help you take care down there. While you're down there trimming the garden, Manscaped and the Testicular Cancer Society want to remind you to check yourself before you wreck yourself for testicular cancer with easy once-a-month routine at-home self-health checks. This year, for a limited time, get their new special edition TCS Lawnmower 4.0 electric and waterproof trimmer. There are only 10,000 units in existence, and with its launch, Manscaped will be donating 50 grand to the Testicular Cancer Society to help those impacted by testicular cancer. Head to manscaped.com/TCS to grab yours, and as always, use code TJM20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Thanks to Storybox for sponsoring today's video. You ever needed a quick clip for a video but didn't have the capacity to make it yourself? Storybox helps you bring your stories to life without sacrifice due to time, budget, or resources. There's over 1 million royalty-free assets for you to choose from, including 4K HD footage, Adobe templates, music, images, and a wide array of diverse and inclusive content. There are subscriptions for every budget, so you can choose the plan that works for you. From their unlimited all-access plan that gives you the unlimited video and audio downloads the kids are doing these days, to enterprise licensing so your entire company has access to assets when you need them. Use Storyblocks like we do here at Linus Tech Tips. We don't always have time to go out and shoot the perfect shot because David's busy podcasting. So sometimes we use these guys. You can do it too. Take your videos to the next level by checking out Storyblocks today at storyblocks.com/TJM. It's in the game.
Nice, I like that.
All right, we're here, guys. This is a movie that takes its time with Act 1.
Yep.
I'll say that.
I appreciated that. I think they do a really good job setting up the state of the world for Nicolas Cage in a way that I felt more invested in that human being than I thought I would.
Right.
It's kind of hard to watch because it's doing the whole like things that need fixing, and a lot of it's so cringe.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, please don't drunkenly sing that song.
But it was but what I loved about it was that it was so funny. Like, I think in the first 10 minutes, I laughed out loudly, like 5 times. I was just like, I didn't expect this because I kind of, again, as I said, I'm not like a Nicolas Cage fanboy or whatever, but like I was so surprised at how quickly it endears you to this version of himself that he's playing.
Yeah.
Well, they've got some kind of cachet. It's like when you're watching a Batman movie, for example, and it's like it can be slow. Like The Dark Knight can be slow for 20 minutes because we know we're gonna get Batman.
Right.
And so they don't have to do a lot of work to show you, hey, this is a character you're gonna like, because I'm coming in, I'm bringing that into the theater. I already know who Nick Cage is.
Yeah.
The first thing you hear him say is just him screaming in his car. I just thought that was so funny. It was just like a funny way to end. Like, you see him driving and he's just in his car and it's like silent for a second. And then he's just like,
yeah, and it's interesting too.
I'm
because
like, okay, and then he doesn't. There's no more dialogue for like another minute after that.
Yeah.
the Nick Cage they choose to show you, I guess it's like ostensibly the real Nick Cage.
Yeah.
You know, you've only seen him acting, but now you've seen this is the real guy. We're told anyway.
Yeah.
And that's interesting in and of itself.
Right. It draws you in just because you're like, okay, am I seeing Nick earnestly portraying himself outside of a film, or is this like Nick kind of doing a caricature of himself, or like a completely different version that's not really related? Like you're thinking about all these things.
I feel like it's the version of himself he thinks he's putting out in the world, like those deep insecurities that he's like, everyone sees like my cracks, everyone sees me failing, but like not most people around him would just be like, he's kind of a weird dude.
Yeah,
it seems like he's really vulnerable in this movie. Like, he really is taking the piss out of himself. Whenever they cut back several times throughout the film to his previous movies, they go to a scene. It's always kind of like a cringe, didn't age well kind of scene. It seemed like they weren't really afraid to do that.
Well, even like the scene with the agent or the writer, I love that, where the writer's like, yeah, we're like getting along, everything's going well, but he's just so insecure. He needs that role so bad. He just does the line read right there, and everyone's like,
oh my god.
Yeah. Do you think, like, how realistic is that? That's got to be based on something.
I feel like maybe it wasn't quite as intense as that.
Like
but
when he closed his car door. Yeah. Very overbearing.
He's like, I can read for you. He's like, no, you don't need to read. He's like, no, you know what? I'm gonna do the read for you. Oh man, I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I love how they bring that back.
Yeah. They do a lot of good callbacks in this. But when he's doing that read, the whole restaurant is just like looking over like, fuck. But I bet that happens every week in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Every week.
That Tom Cruise goes for dinner somewhere, I'm sure there's a scene.
Was the implication that he had the part and then he ruined it by doing the live read?
They were doing the Hollywood thing where they're like, oh yeah, you got it. But like, he kind of knows that like, probably not. Like, this is just the game.
Right.
And so he's like insecure and he needs to like pull more.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But,
that was very uncomfortable.
What do you think of the read?
Well, I think it was like intentionally bad.
Not intentionally in canon. He thinks he's doing good, right?
He thinks he's doing good, yeah. But I think that's what's so beautiful about this movie. Like, I love that they got it made. You know, like what a crazy idea. But that's what's so beautiful about the movie is that we can have these sort of like moments where Nick Cage is being like the cringiest Nick Cage possible, and then right after that we see like a more quote unquote normal Nick Cage, but that's still Nick Cage doing a parody of himself, which is like absurd in itself.
Totally.
I love the meta in this movie.
Oh yeah,
It's very meta. I really like that they brought in his kind of ego represented by the young Nick Cage.
Yeah.
So you actually, it was really smart of them to bring in like his whole career, and obviously they de-aged him and he looked all like soft and it looked fake, but like it was good enough. I thought
it was funny.
Oh
too.
yeah,
and it gave the movie an opportunity to give you some like the iconic weird Nicolas Cage expression shit, and so I think it was good.
And I think I forgave the questionable CGI on that a little bit because I'm like, he's an imaginary character.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's a cheap movie. It's just like you have to look past it.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty impressive though.
That was
Like
great.
it was good enough to be in this movie.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like garbage.
No, it wasn't garbage. Like I think that like you could clearly see, like it didn't look like animated per se. It looked like motion capture, and then there was some weird like smoothing, as you said. Like he was supposed to? Did he have the beard for that performance, and then they smoothed it?
It kind of looked
skin?
like
I
that,
doubt it,
but
it's probably just to remove 5 o'clock shadow and remove all the wrinkles. They just need to smooth the shit out of it.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
did you guys feel like they did a good enough resolution of that ego? Because like I like that they bring him in, but then it's just kind of like he's gone, and then we don't really address him.
He does feel like a little bit of an afterthought, especially because they introduce him so early on.
Yeah,
like it's right after that lunch. We get in the car, and then he appears.
So they never escalate it either. Like it would have been fun if there was like other Nick Cage personalities that start popping up as the movie goes on, and like you get weird like specific movie roles or something that pop in.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you with the resolution thing. He pops in I think 3 different times, and it's always during the whole like Nicolas Cage is oscillating between who he has been and who he would like to be, and this thing it's the devil on his shoulder that brings him back to like the shittier version of himself, and then he challenges that ego and kind of becomes the better person and changes and grows in the end. But I don't know, like you needed a shot of that ghost like flying away or something. No! Or like dissolving or something like that.
I mean, I feel like he's always going to be a part of him, probably. But I think I was thinking this as well, that maybe the climax of the movie would have been a little bit more fulfilling if he had to wrestle with like Nikki or something. Yeah. If his final confrontation was with Nikki instead of with like Lucas, who's sort of like a kind of empty bad guy.
Or like if they had superimposed Nikki over top of Lucas and that both characters were coming at him and he shot them or something.
Man, that's real conceptual, dude.
Maybe.
But I think that I appreciated what the movie turned into because they telegraphed to you what they were doing in the discussions between Nick and Javi. Like, I think as the movie goes on, it becomes more and more clear that like, okay, the movie that they're formulating in their head is the movie we're watching right now.
I don't know if that's a plus for me.
It's not minus for me because adaptation's already done it. And it's a Nick Cage movie where he has a split personality and he's writing the movie that we're currently watching.
And it's way better.
And it's so much better.
That movie rules.
And so every time I was reminded of adaptation, I was like, oh.
See, I haven't seen adaptation. It's been on my list for a long time.
Get it on the list. We
had a VHS at home when I lived with my parents. Like it was like sitting there and I never watched it. I don't know why. But I don't know. I guess that I don't take points off for that.
I had like a moment where it was before they actually started doing it, and I was like, is it going to be that? And then they started doing that. Right. I thought, oh, that's kind of hackneyed. That's kind of unoriginal. But then it turns out it's a Nicolas Cage movie that kind of makes it better.
It's more appropriate for him. Yeah, when it becomes like the full action movie stuff at the end, like there's some funny stuff at the end.
Like for me, if you take like nothing's completely original, but it should be fresh. And usually a common way to do that is just take 2 existing things and smash them together.
Right.
You know, Jaws in space. So if it really is just action movie, like say The Rock plus adaptation, that's fresh enough for me. And that's what I was getting at with my slogan. So I still enjoyed it.
And it didn't like, I appreciated how it went from sort of like a character study into a cheesy action movie. And I think that like that transition, watching that happen kind of made me forgive the cheesier elements of the stupid action stuff at the end, because it wasn't like super thrilling, you know. I wasn't like on the edge of my seat and like, oh my gosh, the car chase, but I was like, this is pretty good. That's for like something that started out as like
it's kind of a buddy comedy, really.
Yeah.
But you know what's amazing about it was that because of all the front half of the movie and the character study aspect of it, I suppose, the drama, the family drama aspect of it, when it turned into a cheesy Michael Bay kind of action movie, I was so invested.
Yeah.
I cared so much about them, about the characters and their lives, and they felt that like they weren't invincible. There was a couple times where it was like, how did you shoot that guy, or how did you survive that?
It's Nick Cage movie, so.
But it's kind of all permissible in like the I don't know, the tone of the movie. Totally. It all fit, but I found myself like really into it more than I cared more about them than I would care about, like, I don't know, Will Smith in
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Sure, I agree, and I think the grounding it in real family stakes just makes the whole thing like the emotions of it feel real. Like when him and Pedro Pascal are like bonding, and then they like fall apart, and then they get back together. I actually was stoked. I was really happy that they didn't take the turn of Pedro Pascal actually being evil when it was revealed that he wasn't the villain. I had such a deep sense of relief.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, thank God.
I loved this performance.
He was amazing.
Especially because like you kind of see, like, you know that he's a drug lord or an arms dealer or whatever. And then when he first walks up to Nick Cage sitting by the pool, and he's like wearing the Speedo, and he's just like standing there awkwardly, and then he's like doesn't really know what to do. He lies down, he grabs a beer, puts it back.
It's not a twist off. He's like, shit.
Yeah, I just love that characterization of this, like, who's supposed to be a scary arms dealer, and we learn later that okay, he's not the head of the organization.
He has such range though. Like he can go from like such a clown to his face can just suddenly change, and you're like, oh damn, he is a intimidating.
Yeah, well, he
boss.
is. One of his breakout roles was this like badass warrior guy on Game of Thrones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he's the villain in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, but still, that's what I've seen him in.
Yeah, on Mandalorian, I guess this is the most iconic. He's very steely faced.
What?
Didn't see that.
I didn't know you were joking for a second.
Yeah, no, I think that, like you said, the movie just succeeds at moving you through its tonal changes really seamlessly. It never felt jarring. It's just, it goes so many extremes, and that's such an achievement.
Right, and there's a really early example of that. We've already talked about it, but like at the beginning when he has that lunch with the director, you're kind of like, okay, is this movie depicting Nick Cage at the top of his game?
Yeah.
Like even when he does the read, it's kind of like, okay, he maybe screwed that up or whatever. But then once we get in the car with Nikki, you realize, oh no, he's in a bad spot. And then that is like solidified with each subsequent scene. But I like how the transition from like thinking that maybe this Nick Cage is like having a great time.
Yeah.
He's like in demand in Hollywood. And like there are a bunch of transitions like that where it's like you think one thing's happening and then it becomes apparent another thing's happening. And
I like I think a good example of that is when they've taken acid and they get back to the compound, and Nick Cage knows that the girl's been kidnapped, and he thinks that it's like in that mirror door. And he's like standing outside and he's like staring at it, and Pedro Pascal kind of comes behind him and he's like, you want me to open that?
Yeah.
If I open this, you're going to think differently of me forever. Are you sure you want to see it? And he's like, I have to see it.
Yeah.
I have to see it. And then it opens and it's all the Nick Cage memorabilia.
There's so much good audience superior tension in this movie.
Yeah, I think I knew that it wasn't going to be what we're expecting it to be, obviously, but like I like how they still kind of play with that idea.
Hold on, I want to expand on what I just said because it's actually not quite. It's audience superior from and inferior at the same time.
Yeah.
Because we kind of know more than Nick, but we don't know everything. We don't know what's behind the door.
Yeah.
But we know that Nick Cage is thinking that it's the girl, and that's why he's acting the way he is towards Have. But Have doesn't know why Nick Cage is acting weird. But then they've got the LSD element in the mix too, so that kind of gives you cloud cover. Oh my God. So it's just a really...
That LSD scene was fun. I when there's drugs in movies, I like it to be like crazy and trippy, but I had such a good time when they get paranoid about that, like the two dudes.
Man. That was hilarious. It used me as a human stool. That was so funny.
That whole,
just look at them and laugh, and he like turns around and hugs his knees. He's like,
oh my God.
I don't think it worked.
Yeah, the whole like trying to pull him over the wall thing, and it's like
that was hilarious.
All the major set pieces. The one prior to that, which was kind of like reminiscent of the Wolf of Wall Street Quaalude scene where so Nick Cage is like drugged and he's trying to crawl around and do a thing. That was great too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole spy part where he's like he accidentally drugs himself. I don't know. I was kind of like, I kind of checked out a little bit.
It actually took off for me at that point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, throughout Act 1, I was just kind of like, this is kind of contrived. Like, now he has a meeting with his agent. It's Neil Patrick Harris, who I think is kind of overrated. I don't like love. I know he's beloved, but not by me, really. I think
Neil Patrick Harris is around to play exactly this type of role where he's just kind of like a skeezy Hollywood guy.
So, yeah, they go through all that stuff, and there's a couple jokes I laugh here and there, but it wasn't really taking off, and I had the same feeling that you had. I thought, like, I didn't see a trailer for this movie, but I had an idea of what this movie was going to be. I did read the premise, and I was just having feelings like, this isn't exactly what I thought I was going to get into. But then when it finally jumped into Act 2, and they do the spy thing, the pace was so fast. It's like another movie would have spent another 10 minutes. They just like suddenly he's there in the room and he's got spy shit. And suddenly the pace was just like rocket launching off, and I was there for that.
I wrote down that it felt a little jarring because it felt like they cut some parts for time, where it's like, okay, normally there would be a scene where they gear him up and then they tell the plan to him and then he gets in there or whatever. But like this movie's just like, we don't really need that.
I agree. I think that it's better for it.
It totally worked for me.
I don't love the spy stuff. Like it works in the context of the Nick Cage aspects of the movie, but I found like it just felt really underdeveloped to me. Like that there's just like these two random agents, and then all of a sudden they're just dispatched, and then that's kind of it. Yeah,
and then there was also the weird bit that Ike Barinholtz's character, who was the male CIA guy.
Oh yeah, he just like he's gone. That sucks. I want him to come back. He was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, was there a scheduling conflict or something? Like,
well, he's the corpse in the chair, right?
Yeah,
but they don't show his face.
That sucks, actually.
But at some point, both of them are talking to Nick Cage, and then at some point, it's just Vivian.
I wonder if it was just. That's weird.
Why can't I think of her name? Is that Tiffany Haddish?
That is.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy was fucking awesome. The movie, though, to your point, David, about it kind of just being like underdeveloped or something, the movie has a hedge built in, which is we're going to put this action icing on this cake just to get butts in seats. Yeah. And it's really just like a marketing ploy. And
it does really feel, even in terms of the action, it feels like two bros being like, we're going to make a movie today.
Yeah.
And they just go out with cameras and shoot. And I really like that scrappiness that this movie exhibits. And like you said, it's written into the plot. But it makes it so charming. The movie's very charming.
The strongest point is the rapport of those two. Totally. The buddy relationship is so strong.
Yeah, oh my God, when Nick Cage is trapped and then Javi like takes the guns and like cocks him, I actually got like a little emotional, being like, he's gonna go save him. He's gonna save that man.
Wait, what part is that?
Just at the end when
he's dressed as the Italian boss.
And then he shoots the dude or whatever, but then he gets taken hostage, or he takes one person hostage, but there's 4 guns pointed at him.
Yeah.
So it all kicks off when they go to the cliffs for the first time.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage is like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to like make me get in character here or whatever. But then he acquiesces to it.
Yeah.
It was kind of cringe, but then it just worked.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful because it's like Nick is in this hard but like dark time in his life, and he's like, okay, should I focus on my career? Like, am I a hack? You know, do I deserve respect at all? And this guy is just being like, hey, just forget about that for a second. Let's play.
Yeah.
He's just like, let's play. Like, come play with me. Play pretend.
Well, and it's endearing and relatable because I think we've probably all had the experience of like, okay, I actually just met a kindred spirit who genuinely cares about the things I care about, and he's being so authentic right now. He's being weird. That's how authentic he is. But he's being my brand of weird, so like, fuck it, I'm here for it.
Totally. And you can see like in Pedro Pascal's performance the mix of like, I'm putting myself out and being vulnerable and I want to play and have fun, but at the same time I'm like so anxious that this might not work, you know. I was just like, Nick Cage is here. It was just like a perfect mix of those type of emotions.
I totally believed their friendship.
Yeah.
It was nice. It's like not a pair you would ever expect either. Like, I've never in my head been like, you know who should make a movie together?
Yeah. And the drama that was brought to bear when they were both going to kill each other.
Oh my God.
That was so suspenseful for me. I did not know how that was going to play out, and it played out perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the resolution of it, that the gunfire just starts happening and they have to kind of like run away together.
Yeah, that kind of was just like, hey, these guys are here now.
Yeah, which was fine. I didn't love... I think, the weakest aspect one of the weakest aspects of the movie is Lucas and like the bigger cartel stuff. It's another aspect that's just underdeveloped, and that's fine because like it works in the context of the movie, but I wish the final villain had a little more personal stakes with at least Nick Cage. Sure, he has stakes with Javi, but the movie is from Nick Cage's
and what's
perspective.
weird about it is that they set up sort of personal stakes between Lucas and Javi, but then they remove Javi for the final moments of the climax, which was, I feel like there's just a number of missteps here from a writing perspective.
There should have been a little subplot where the cousin like hated Nicolas Cage movies.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
That would have been good. I just thought it was kind of weird how they just like got rid of Javi in the end. He's like, I got to stand up to my cousin, and then he does, but then it doesn't do anything. And
you've got to pick one main character.
The chase continues.
But Javi should have shown up at the embassy.
Yeah.
And then when it switches to movie, which I thought was a clever way to get out,
that was a good way.
Switching to the meta movie they eventually make, Javi should have been at the scene at the embassy.
That would have been way.
We never even see the depiction of Javi, like what actor is playing Pedro Pascal.
Right.
Oh, that could have been a funny joke. I wonder who they would have picked. Who would you guys pick to like play movie version of Pedro?
Banderas.
Banderas. That'd be amazing.
A little too old, maybe.
They had Demi Moore, so
yeah.
And then I also felt
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore, yeah.
Half. Less is more. They. That's a French joke, people.
One.
I felt that there was another scene missing with Javi at the end. After his final scene is just saying goodbye in the cinema. Like, I'm going to go to the after party. Okay, great. See you later.
And it signals Cage's growth, where it's like, okay, it's not about me. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it is landing in the way that I wanted it to. It was fine.
I just needed one more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I needed like people. I needed Javi like basking in his new success.
Yeah.
Like cut away from the crime family. Now he's a fixture of Hollywood. And
it should have been like final shot is like a bunch of people going to him and being like, "Wow, you're amazing." This is Nick Cage just being like, head
so
nodding.
I don't need this right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kissing
or like
hugging his family.
I'm gonna go with my family.
Maybe that director who Nick Cage did the read for at the beginning could be like, "Hey, Javi, I really want to work with you," or something like full circle like that.
Yeah.
Would have worked.
Yeah,
for me.
I thought that there was a bit missing in terms of the resolution between him and his family. Like they have that lunch and they kind of talk about what's going on and they lay out the issues. You know, he wants her to be kind of like a mini version of him and whatever, but they never really get to a point where he like realizes, and we see that he's going to. We don't see him really decide to change. We only see him after he's decided to make the change.
And like it's like the movie signals it by being like he rescues his daughter or sacrifices.
Right.
But I feel like he would have done that always.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't feel like he had a personal growth moment where like that's the kind of self-sacrifice he wouldn't have done before.
I guess so. During that therapy scene, Javi is like, "Okay, we have a lot of work to do. This is a good first step." So maybe there could have been another extension of that, another conflict, maybe during a car chase or something where they're yelling at each other and. This is what you always do. Ah!
Yeah, something like that. I feel like they could have worked in some emotional things into that car chase, and they did, but it was like the wrong things. It's like I got to stand up to my cousin, and that like what is that doing there? I feel like the movie kind of took the joke of taking this like character piece and turning it into a Hollywood blockbuster, and kind of forgot to actually, or I don't know whether it forgot, but I thought that would be enough. Like it was like, oh, isn't it funny that we're doing this? And then. Not realizing that it would actually be a much better movie if you did have that sort of character. You brought back the stuff that you need to have that resolution from Act 1.
I could see the writers being like, "Oh, it's funny if we completely abandon the family thing and go full action." But I think if they had carried that forward, it would have been a little bit stronger.
I really liked when the car pulled away. Javi's going to face his cousin. The Jeep pulls away, and Gabriella's standing there.
Yeah,
that really hit.
That's a good shot.
That slapped well.
Because he is definitely the secondary character, but you know that he loves her and she loves him, but they just can't be together, and it was nice.
Yeah,
it was nice.
That was all just kind of like told and not shown, but so I think it was a little emptier than it could have been if we had like a scene between them or something where he says to her, "Oh, I want to be with you," but like blah blah blah. Instead, he just like tells that to Nick,
or even a couple of looks. Between them or something.
Yeah, it's almost like a throwaway line too, so that we know that, but it doesn't really feel like it has weight.
Speaking of looks, there was a look, like an intentional, there's a shot to set, when they showed the guns and then they held on the guns, you're like, those guns are going to get used later. There's something like that where they arrive at the compound that Javi says is his like secret fortress, where he's got these like disguise props and everything.
Oh, right.
They arrive there, he says, "Okay, I got a plan, like we're going to be safe here. Right this way, everyone." Everyone walks that way, and then the camera lingers on Javi, and he does like this little smirk. And it was like, I guess meant to seed some doubt in the audience that, oh shit, is he going to double cross them? Is he who we think he is?
Yeah.
And this is after they were going to kill each other, but don't. And so we're really quite sure that he's who we think he is. but I guess they're just trying to sow that doubt, but then it doesn't materialize to anything. So
Yeah,
it might also
myself.
be like him with some kind of self-satisfaction of like, oh, my life is an action movie. Like my preparation was totally valid because like I am now in an action movie with Nick Cage.
or like I have a plan. We're gonna dress up as this crime boss.
Yeah.
I think that's
I feel like
God.
I feel like that might be an example of the editing being sort of amateurish a little bit in this movie. Because like I said earlier that like it felt like they had cut parts for time, but I also think that it does feel a bit jarring when we just like jump from one thing to another, and I think that this is maybe a sin of not omission. A sin of leaving something in that should have been taken out. Where it's like
commission.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay. Sin of commission. Where I feel like maybe they would have just cut that shot before we see that little smirk, and then we're not confused.
It does. The movie does have a little bit of a feeling of it got edited down. It's pretty short. Like it's only hour 45.
Yeah.
Are we in hit bits and nitpicks now?
I guess so.
I liked
Let's
that
do
it
it.
was short.
Hit the song.
Nitpicks.
I actually had a nitpick about this editing because I noticed while watching first watch, at least 3, I would say, continuity errors, like slight continuity errors. Like the two of them are looking at each other in the car, and Javi's bangs are like on his forehead, and then it cuts to a shot where they're looking forward out the Jeep, and now his bangs are to the side. Just like a few things like that throughout the movie. And I don't know if that's just because I'm so eagle-eyed.
Wait, but is that just because the wind pushed his hair back? Like
No.
Oh no, it was just like an instant cut.
It was just like that was just 2 different takes put together.
They should have had the person come in and put the bangs back.
Well, I mean, that's a job.
That's
It's
an
probably
editing, yeah.
that's someone's job, but it's probably too low a budget of a movie for them to have justified that.
They could have done CGI.
They could have
CGI hair removal.
debanged him.
Yeah, debanged. I'm getting my hair debanged.
Soften that hairline.
Big hit pick is when Nick Cage asks Javi what his 3 favorite movies are. I think that's such a great scene. It's
Yeah.
like The Rock and then the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is a good callback to like him being upset with his daughter because she doesn't like the movies he does. But then Paddington 2, and I laughed so hard when
Have
he
you
just,
seen
Have you seen
Paddington
it?
too?
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I need to watch it.
Who has? is
Yo,
the question.
99% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.8 on IMDb.
yeah, I've
It's
heard
strong.
it's amazing.
I bet that a bunch of people are gonna go see Paddington 2 now.
Oh,
I want to see it.
hold on. Let me pull up the Google Trends. Well, I want to know.
This movie's been out for a few weeks, right?
Yep. I don't think it's going to do super well. It's in pretty limited release. Like, it was annoying trying to find a theater to watch it at.
Yeah.
So,
So it still is just so strange to me that I don't know.
$30 million movie. This movie cost more than Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Wow.
This movie costs more.
$5 million more.
I mean, wow.
But it's
I feel
probably
like that,
because Pedro Pascal and Nick Cage probably
Oh,
got
take
paid.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no real discernible bump in Paddington 2. There
Yeah.
was at the beginning of the year in Christmas a big jump. I don't know
Is it a
why.
Christmas movie?
No idea.
Guys,
I guess we're gonna
next
cover
week,
it, guys.
Next week, Paddington 2.
Wait, hold on a second. There's related queries here. Number 1 is massive talent. Number 2 is Zelensky Paddington. And number 3 is Zelensky on its own.
what?
And then the 4 and 5 are again massive talent stuff. What the hell does Paddington 2 have to do with
the president of Ukraine?
Oh, maybe.
Or is that just like Dave's last name or something? Like, what is
All
that?
right.
Anyways, here's the hit pick. There's a small.
It's because he voiced Paddington in the Ukrainian.
Oh, that's
he's
so
an actor
funny.
comedian. Okay.
Okay, interesting.
Hit pick. There's a slight twist or a subversion of expectations at the beginning of this movie. Maybe it was just my own assumptions, but this happened for me. I thought when we meet who we later learned to be the FBI agents, I thought they were the terrorists who kidnapped the girl in the opening scene.
Oh,
Right? We're led to believe
I could
that,
see
right?
that, yeah.
Wait,
and then,
really?
There's definitely a version of this movie where they're the bad guys that kidnapped.
Well, the first scene of the movie is the girl getting kidnapped by mass terrorists.
Yes.
And then later on, not too far later, we see Nicolas Cage. He's going to get intercepted at this airport by these people who are like doing some kind of sting. And I thought, oh, they're going to kidnap him just like they kidnapped her.
Oh.
Because when he's on his private jet, he sees a news thing about the girl being kidnapped.
I think that I immediately thought they were government agents because like Baron Holt's character says that he expects someone to get off, like he expects a criminal to get off the plane. He's like, oh, I thought that it was going to be crime lord so and so on this plane or whatever.
Oh, I guess I missed that then.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just for me. But when it was revealed that, or at least like solidified that they were agents, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, I thought they were terrorists. So
And
that
they
was
were
a cool little
also
twist.
both American, and they were in Spain. So I just assumed that,
How dare you?
you know, it was imperial. Trying to put some politics in here, but it's not working.
Yeah, I think maybe my biggest hit pick in this movie, and I think it's maybe the best joke in the entire thing, is when he's passed out from the drug, and you're like, oh no, he lost, and like Tiffany Haddish is like, action, and he's like,
I had that down to the hit pick as well
It's
because
such
it
a
was
funny-
like, it was because you were like, oh, what
Yeah.
possible thing could they do?
Yeah, that was great.
And it was just like
a roller coaster of emotions. There's a few jokes I have written down here. I loved at the end, before they're like on their way to kill themselves and they're looking at each other's shoes and they trade shoes and it was like this cute moment. But then they call back to the shoes like 3 different times.
Yeah.
Like, you run over there. What? I'm wearing these penny loafers now. Like, I don't have any ankle support.
even with bad shoes, you're still more athletic than I am.
that whole shoes bit. Yeah, I agree. It was so funny. It was just like, those look really good on you.
It's so touching, though.
Should we trade like permanently?
My favorite joke, though, is when the FBI agent's trying to get him to bring up the subject of kidnapping, put it into the movie. And Cage is like, he'll know something's up. He's the hardliner for Tone.
Okay, so that's exactly. I wrote that down too. But I couldn't remember what the word was that he said. It was a blank for Tone. I was like, and then I thought it was hardliner. Yeah, that like when Nick is going off on sort of like manic descriptions like that, are like some of my favorite parts of the movie. Like right before that, he's like, no, you have to understand this movie. Like, they're like dueling Christ figures, which is a revolutionary idea in itself. But like, Javi won't go for that. And it's like you have to like listen very carefully to pick up on all the because he's speaking very fast and he's using like industry terms, and you're just like, eh. But I just
There's some jargon in this movie. Like earlier when he calls Neil Patrick Harris, then he's describing how he's going to retire. He says, "Call the trades and tell them blah blah blah." The trades are the industry magazines
right.
Hollywood. But
I love that scene too.
FYI.
Even like how they undercut it in the perfect way, where he's like, "It's been an honor to serve in like the greatest, like one of the oldest
be a small
professions,
piece.
to be a small piece in it." And he's like, sorry, I was driving through the mountains. What'd you say?" It was like,
that was hilarious.
Never mind.
yeah, and it's like sometimes undercutting jokes can be bad, but because the point is that like he's so forgotten, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And that he just cares about the wrong things. He's
Yeah.
like
Right.
this antiquated, I don't know, auteur in a world
Has been.
of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And right before that, on the phone call, he's like, yeah, so that birthday party gig, and his agent is like,
Yeah.
I know, so embarrassing. Honestly, I apologize for ever suggesting it. He's like, I'll do it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, this is one of those little like LA microcosm.
Yeah. Nitpick, sort of mid-pick. I don't know what to say. The Fruit Loops. What was
Like
that?
product placement?
Yeah, I was like, is this product placement or is this like just he's eating cereal in the middle of the day? He's a weirdo. Like,
I feel like it could be one of those like personal jokes. Like it's like they just had Fruit Loops at one point and they thought it was funny to, oh, we need a cereal. Oh yeah, let's put in Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Remember? I don't know. It felt like one of those like in jokes that we'll never get.
I feel like it added to that final shot where the camera's kind of like panning back as Javi is like realizing he's like, oh my god, I have to kill Nick Cage.
Yeah.
And it adds, because like if there was nothing on the table, it would just be like, okay, we're in a nondescript fancy crime lord house. But because there's Fruit Loops on the table, it kind of adds this like absurd layer to it.
Okay. Yeah, the milk was obscuring the actual Fruit Loops logo and picture, but what you could see of the box was just Kellogg's.
Yeah, I think that's just how the box looks in some other
Spain.
countries.
Sure, I just mean it still was product placement because you could just see Kellogg's.
Yeah, for sure.
Big hit pick. How the movie knows what you're thinking and delivers on it almost right away. Like as soon as Nick Cage figures out that he's gonna have to go in disguise as the warlord that's been in hiding for 15 years, you're there like with him before they even say it. And then the next shot is him in disguise, and you're like, oh, thank God they're not like doing this big planning scene. It's just like,
No, like getting dressed
yeah,
montage.
exactly as they figure it out, we're there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's great.
That's the kind of like speedy cuts that I appreciate for sure.
And it was funny. I was so happy. As soon as you see him, I just like, I died.
They also changed up his wife's look, and for an instant, I was like, that Pedro Pascal? Did they disguise them both?
I
That'd
could
have been so
sort of
funny.
see, yeah. I mean, like she didn't look necessarily like Pedro Pascal, but she looked so different from what she looked like
Yeah.
before. Yeah, she was great. Sharon Horgan is the actress.
Okay, I actually wanted to follow up and see if that was his actual wife and his actual daughter. I'm assuming no.
No, and I was like Googling that in the middle of the movie as well because I was like,
son of a bitch.
Well, because I was like, wait, how much is this actually based on his real life? It's like, no, this is a fictionalized version. I think he's had a divorce.
He's had a couple because he was married or at least dating Patricia Arquette, which is funny because we just did Severance.
Didn't he just impregnate a 25-year-old?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Good for you, Nick Cage.
Riko Shibata.
Who's that?
She looks like. I thought it when I saw the photo. I was like, oh, it's his daughter.
Let me see her.
Who?
Rico means tasty in Spanish.
Oh.
Who's Riko Shibata?
It's a type of
to
bread.
name his wife.
Oh, this is the woman he just. Oh, he's dating her or wife. He's the 5th wife. Wow.
5th. Dang.
Patricia Anna Nicole Smith. I think this is who that is.
I think he's got 2.
Did he date Amber Heard?
Lisa Marie.
I think he's got 2 kids, but they're both boys.
Okay.
Anyways,
nobody cares about boys though.
Sharon Horgan, the actress who played his wife, was great, and also her American accent was really good.
Yeah,
she was Irish.
I did not.
She switched to an American accent when she was dressed up
in character. Yeah, and it was really good.
Yeah,
it
was.
Oh dang! And I like how they kind of like flip it around to be like, "Ooh, you're not the only capable actor here."
I liked the daughter too. I thought she was pretty good. It's hard. Young actors need a little bit more experience, but she was pretty good.
Yeah.
I never felt like taken out of it.
She felt like a real teenager. This is.
I don't know, man. I have a real teenager in my house, and they're not articulate.
Okay,
they just say, "I don't know." I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Don't know.
I feel like this is something similar to. We talked about this in Doctor Strange though as well, because the actress, the America Chavez is 16. The actress who plays her is 16 in that movie, and I don't know how old this girl is, but like they're both playing like teenage girls, and I feel like it's just like hard to. You can't have them seem like a real human.
Yeah, she's 23.
Yeah, she looked 23. Okay, I'm not. Yeah. I don't feel bad anymore.
She's definitely older.
Oh, okay. But like it was the same category of performance where it's like
23. 7 years older than the character. That's a big honestly, 7 years.
When I was surprised that the girl in Doctor Strange was actually 16, because like normally they would get like a 23-year-old to play a 16-year-old or something. But anyways, we already talked about that in the other podcast.
Here's a big hit pick: the payoff with the kidnapped girl when she's in the back of the Jeep going.
Yeah,
that was so awesome.
That was a great moment. That's fucking cool.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Hit pick, minor hit pick, I guess, is that like it seems like he ad-libbed that song, like when he's playing it at her birthday party.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe they like wrote this out beforehand, but like for sure the character Nick Cage ad-libbed the song, like he made it up.
But you think they actually did it on set?
I feel like he
he
just played the same notes the whole time, and like I don't know. I like to think that it was ad-libbed because it was that stupid.
It was pretty bad. Step away from the piano. That was awesome.
Right after everyone's like clapping for her, it's like, okay, all right, everybody, come over to the piano, get over here.
Here's my one hit pick related to the filmmaking aspect of this. There's a shot that's good in this movie, which is you're looking at the wax sculpture, like abomination of Nicolas Cage with the 2 guns, from the side, and then the camera does like this arcing pan. And then it's only once it pushes over the corner of that display case that you get to see the reflection of Nicolas Cage.
Right.
And his reflection is lined up with the face of the mannequin. That was an awesome shot.
That was a really good shot.
It was pretty good.
I like the joke, too, earlier when he's like, I'll buy it for $20,000. Like, it's not for sale. Because it's a perfect reminder of how reckless he is with his money.
Oh, yeah. He's already in the hole. He's trying to like live off of this $1 million birthday thing, even though he owes $600,000 just to this one hotel.
Right. Yeah. I also sort of appreciated, I mean, it's not like groundbreaking or anything, but I also sort of appreciated the kind of slow motion shot where after they both learn that they have to kill each other and they are slowly walking toward each other, and we get the close-ups on their feet and then their hands, and they're like, Cage has got the rings and Javi's got the watch, and we see kind of like the parallels between them and stuff, and then it's like, it's switching over the line of action and everything. We're getting every different perspective. I don't know. I just it was a nice reflective moment.
Totally.
I thought the action was pretty good too.
It was pretty decent.
I just want to say all that, like Nicky was in it. Yeah, I think there was only 3 Nicky scenes of his alter ego, but each one was just like joyous. It was just so great.
Well, it's got that, they're sprinkling the element of Nick Cage Gonzo.
Yeah, and he's just like going crazy. Like What did you guys think about the decision to include the I'm Nick fucking Cage again at the end?
I thought that was a little much. I didn't need that.
Oh, I
but
loved it.
Really? I think I was like, when the line started, I was like, oh, this is super weird. But then it just keeps going, and then I was laughing again at the end, and then the movie ends, and I have a smile on my face. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
fine.
a good way to walk out of a
valid
theater.
choice. Yeah, because it was hilarious. It just keeps going.
The movie definitely succeeds at never being a bad time. There's never a moment in the movie I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, all right, I'm having a good time. Like, I can see myself putting this on the semi-regular in the background and just
Right.
like kind of tuning in and out because it's just a good time. It's
It's
fun
good, like
movie.
if you're hungover and you just want to,
like a fun.
just want to lay here
it's
and
a
be
fun
happy.
movie. Yeah. Well, I have
Fan service, guys.
a fan service, and it's almost more of like a PSA.
Uh-oh.
Wait, I need to look it up here.
You're watching a podcast.
Which one is this? Oh, okay. So this is about the fan service. It's a meta fan service comment.
Oh, that's so meta.
Because so this is from Jonathan Hidez. He says, guys, I look forward to this podcast often. You guys are awesome, but there was no reason to spoil the ending of The Northman out of left field like that towards the end of the episode. Seriously, come on. And I'm so sorry. I replied to him in the comments as well. I'm so sorry.
Wait, is this on the Northman episode?
No, this was us talking about, this is on the Doctor Strange episode, and during the fan service, we brought up a comment that someone did about the Northman, and then we were talking about the Northman. So we just have to be this careful. Is our reminder to us to be careful when we're talking about previous episodes, because people don't always watch every single episode of ours, as crazy as that sounds.
I know, so I shouldn't say that at the end of Doctor Strange, there's that.
Oh, I haven't listened to that episode yet because I actually am interested.
You haven't seen it?
Well, no, I haven't. And I don't know, man, because I was trying to look at the reviews, just like the quick snapshot. Is it better or worse than the first one? They look pretty similar, but a close friend of mine said this movie was hot garbage. He said it was trash.
Wait, which one?
Sonic 2 was better.
Then what?
Than Strange 2. So then I watched Doctor Strange, the first one, which I hadn't seen. Actually, I watched the first half hour and like pieced out.
No.
I picked up right from there. That was like a year ago too, and I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked the first one, so I don't want to be spoiled on this.
I think you will like the second one. It's messy, but in like a fun way.
Yeah,
and there's really cool stuff that happens, but then there's like eye roll. It's eye roll city.
And then I shall watch it, and then I shall listen to our podcast. I want to see how Belle did. Maybe you guys can hit us up in the comments if maybe they did in the last episode, but send us an email. How do you like Belle?
I got another fan service. This is about Doctor Strange. Spoilers, sort of. Not like plot spoilers, but it's a minor spoiler.
What am I supposed to do if it's a
you will have no context for this. It's fine.
Okay.
So we talked in the last podcast about there at a certain point, Christine picks up some like artifact and uses it to fight off the demons.
Yep. Oh, thank you. I asked for this.
Yeah. So this person, it's from Ms. Tick. Christine uses the brazier of Bomb Galiath when fighting the spirits. It's a callback to the first movie when Doctor Strange picks up the artifact when fighting against Mads Mikkelsen's character, Caecilius, who then asks, "You don't know how to use that, do you?"
Oh,
so then she's like, "Oh, she knows how to use it."
I knew it had to be a callback,
right?
Because it was too random.
Yeah, that makes me a little bit more satisfied with that moment because I was just like, "What? Are we supposed to know this?"
Yeah.
Artifacts. You got to know your artifacts.
I didn't expect. I mean, I think this was the same thing when Bell brought up that like Doctor Strange was his favorite Marvel movie. What? I keep forgetting.
Marvel movie.
Character.
No,
character.
No, not character. Movie.
I thought he said the opposite.
No, that's what you think.
No, because then he made a whole thing. He did a whole thing about how he doesn't like Tony Stark, but he likes.
He does, but I don't think it's because it's his favorite. I think he likes. Oh, now I'm guessing.
See?
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that.
I was like,
Doctor Strange is a character. Certainly in the comics, is fucking cool.
Yeah, I think I was taken aback because if it is the movie, then I'm like, you're just dumb because it's a. I said this to Belle. Yeah. I said this to Belle on the podcast. Okay.
How dare you?
I was like, it's like an okay movie at best. But then he explained.
Not at best. It's pretty decent.
Well, don't rehash the last episode.
It's okay. It's
People
like a
can,
6.
You're right.
It's like a 6 or 7.
That.
Okay. But if it's the character, it makes sense.
Do you guys want to do Now Playing?
Yes.
I want to do Now Playing because I'm consuming some content that I want to talk about.
Well, tell me about it.
It's not a movie. It's not a TV show. It's a Batman audio podcast.
Oh.
What in the world?
Yes, it's a show on Spotify called Batman Unburied. I've only listened. I think there's 4 or 5 episodes out. I've listened to 3 of them, and it's a complete audio show. Like it's a story, like a movie would be, but just there's no visuals.
It's like
it's not a talk podcast about Batman. It's like a it's like a play.
It's
or
a radio
story.
Play.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And it's really cool. And it's cool because there's all these constraints that you realize when you're making that, when you're creating that medium. Like, for example, and this is not really a spoiler, but like the main serial killer dude that they're after, when he's committing crimes, like murmurs and speaks while he does it. And of course he does, because otherwise what the hell would you be listening to, right? Like
Right.
If it was just, I don't know, someone shooting someone, like Bane punching people, you wouldn't know what the hell is going on. So everything kind of has to be geared towards the audio. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And then there's
wait, when he's getting punched, what do you hear?
I haven't really got to a point where there is Batman yet.
You haven't heard any punching?
Well, not really. It's really interesting because in this, it's like a parallel universe where, and again, this isn't really a spoiler. This is just kind of in the synopsis where Batman, Bruce Wayne, his parents are alive and he is a mortician.
Whoa.
Also, he's voiced by a black actor. So first black Batman.
Cool.
As far as I know.
This seems wild.
It is wild. And then it gets trippy. It's like, well, wait, is this a parallel universe? Is this a dream? I don't know the answer to that yet.
Oh, that's really cool.
Okay. So it's Bruce Wayne as a mortician.
Yeah. And like Thomas Wayne is a living surgeon. His father is like still alive.
And you don't know whether he's like a vigilante yet.
Yeah, it's and so basically you're listening to like a true crime kind of series because he's, as a mortician, he's like receiving the bodies that the serial killer is interacting with. So
I'm gonna
pretty cool.
So what's it called? The Batman Audio Adventures?
No, it's called.
No.
Where'd you get that from?
I'm looking up. I looked at Batman podcast and I forgot.
It's called Batman Unburied, and
Unburied.
I learned that there's actually another series like
Batman
this from
Funny Kids Time.
a couple of years ago about Wolverine. There's a series like this. If you're more of a Marvel or Wolverine fan,
man,
and you're interested in this content, check that out.
I love that there are things like this that exist that I just would never have guessed exist. But like there are people
licensed?
out there who are making stuff like this, and
yeah, it's a big deal. Like the person,
it's licensed.
The guy who voices Batman was in Black Panther. I think it's Killmonger.
What?
Michael B. Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan?
Hold on.
That'd be crazy.
1 second.
No. I think it's the leader of the other tribe.
Still.
Like the one that you think is against.
Yeah, hold on.
Gorilla Tribe?
Bruce Wayne. Here it is. Winston Duke. Let's just do a clap. No, it's Winston Duke. So I'm sorry. I didn't really watch Black Panther. I think I turned it off. He plays M'Baku.
Yeah. Yep. Who's the leader of like the mountain tribe.
Yep.
But he's got a cool voice.
Yeah.
It totally works for him. I can also picture it coming out of John Hamm, who played like John Draper. He has a similar voice to him in this. But it totally works for Bruce Wayne.
That's wild.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, Spotify just put it in front of my face. Like they've been pumping the shit out of it. Also, it's from David S. Goyer, who makes like all the superhero content.
This is so interesting. I'm so okay.
Listen to it on your drive
You need to
home.
give us another update on the next podcast
About what?
about what's happening in the.
No,
I'm not going to listen to it.
Why not?
Because I have other things to do.
To listen to?
I'm gonna listen to it.
You drive every day.
Yeah,
The episodes are a half hour. Boom.
I need to listen to intense discussions about political arguments.
Okay.
Sure.
What are you guys watching?
I'm living the retro dream, man. I picked up an HD CRT for free.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
very pleased. Let me say CRTs are better. I'm thinking about getting rid of my OLED and just going full CRT for gaming.
Wow.
And it's
What?
fucking awesome.
What do you mean for console gaming?
Yeah. For
Not
PC
for
gaming. Well,
PC.
but okay, so this TV that I have is a 1080i native CRT. And so it does 540p, but it's really good at 1080i. But no computer now puts out 1080i content, so you have to get a scaler thing. And anyways, the point is, I'm the happiest man on the planet. And I can't believe it. I'd never seen an HD CRT before.
But isn't it like dim and washed out?
No, opposite. It's vibrant as fuck.
Okay.
And it's
More than the OLED? Come on.
Come over, man.
All right.
Come over.
I
It's stupid.
see-
It's 200
yeah.
pounds, and I can't move it ever.
How big is it? 27 inch?
34.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Really big.
I feel like there's a part of me that wants to believe you, and there's a part of me that wants to be like, this is like rose-colored glasses looking at nostalgia retro stuff.
So what it's really good for is 6th generation, 7th generation, like PS3 and Xbox 360. So stuff that's like kind of HD but didn't really get there, because like 720p or like 1080i, it softens it and it makes it look better in a way where it can cover a lot of the sins.
Right.
Like it's not, if I plug in a PS5, it's not going to look that good. Although I want to do that because modern pixel games or like 8-bit looking games on that display will look awesome. Whereas my current like 4x3 CRTs, it's all stretched or shitty.
Right.
So it's a widescreen display. So I'm super
So you're like
excited.
getting the experience of when you remember something from your childhood and then you like Google it and you're like, oh, the graphics are way worse than I remember.
yeah.
You're actually seeing it in form.
I'm so excited. And like I got it for free. I was super lucky. Dude was just trying to get rid of it because it's 200 pounds. He's living in the middle of Chilliwack. Like no one wants this TV. But 3 days ago on eBay, it sold for $1,000 plus $400 shipping.
What?
Holy
So-
cow.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just a happy boy, you know?
Lucky you.
Just a
And
fucking
imagine
happy
how
boy.
the TV feels.
And Riley,
Very wanted.
what
I
do you
just-
have to contribute?
I just watched The Bad Guys.
How
Oh,
was
I
it?
put that on.
Yeah,
I put that on. I didn't get through it, but
I loved it. It's a great movie.
what I saw was all right.
I mean, it's like a kid's movie, but it's like Sam Rockwell is the big bad wolf,
I do love Sam Rockwell.
and it's like there are great themes, and like it's funny, and the animation is slick.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
The animation is so good. So I love that movie, and I also just watched like half of the Adam Project on Netflix.
What do you think?
It's pretty good.
Only watched half.
I liked it.
Yeah, the fact you only watched half.
It's like
is telling.
Well, no, I just didn't have time to watch. Like I'm gonna watch the next
Yeah.
half later, but yeah, it was fun. It was like a Free Guy type of vibe.
What I
It's
like
the same
about
director.
it, yeah, it's the same director, same relationship, but it's almost like opposite strengths of Free Guy. Like Free Guy has such a cool world and interesting plot, and does a lot with that. Whereas this one, I think, kind of sucks on that aspect. Like the plot is sort of boring, but
Yeah.
the emotion and the family drama is really fucking good.
Yeah, there was like a middle of the movie scene with him and his mom,
Yeah.
and I'm like crying as if this is the end of the movie. I wasn't like fully crying, but I was kind of like, this is like an emotional scene that feels like it would be later in the movie, but it's here,
I
which is nice.
fully had tears 3 times in that movie. Yeah, I liked it.
Anyways,
Damn, that's like your Paddington too.
recommendation. Well,
That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. You can email us hello@they'rejustmovies.com.
Wow.
You can tweet at us. But that's it. I'm not even going to read them.
At TJM Pod.
Just joking. At TJM Pod, you can tweet at us. We'll tweet back to you. You can give us your recommendations of what we should cover in the future. We might listen to it. Next week, we're going to do
Man,
Men.
who runs the world?
It's raining men.
scariest movie monster ever.
I'm excited. I
British
almost-
men.
It's rare that I.
British man. We get in the movie and we discover that that's part of the title, but they just like it's been like
Yeah, struck
crossed
through.
out. Yeah.
Dirty old man.
Sorry.
Bye.
Sorry, British men.